I am very excited to announce the First Baptist Center for Ministry Training. And the idea behind this new center is the fact that I know as a repeated graduate from seminary, I know as a seminary professor for a long number of years, that there's only so much you can learn about ministry in the educational context. Sooner or later, you have to come to the local church context. Here at First Baptist Church, we have been equipping ministers of the gospel and training pastors in the context of our local church for a very long time, and this is just our latest effort to do that. The inaugural event for the First Baptist Center for Ministry Training is going to happen on January the 16th to the 19th. It is a weekend workshop, and you can come and you can see in a local church how to do leadership and revitalization, how to do biblical counseling, and how to do worship and music. There is a very limited number of spots available. The applications are due by November the 22nd. And if you would like to get more information or to apply, you can go to fbcjacksministrytraining.com. I'm Heath Lambert, and you're listening to Marked by Grace, a podcast applying the grace of Jesus to all of life. Conflict over Donald Trump at the holidays. Listen, I want to do something unique on the podcast this week. I want to speak to you as though I am entering into your living room, your car, your phone conversations, and I want to speak to the members of your family who are disagreeing over the election of Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States. That means if you're a regular listener to the podcast, I want to encourage you to spread this in a way that maybe you typically don't. If you are not a normal listener to the podcast, then I want to let you know that you are hearing me speak to you now about what is a family emergency. And I am asking to gain a hearing because I really do care about your family. Listen, I am a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Of course, like every single person alive, I have political viewpoints and political thoughts, but that is not the guiding light of my ministry, and that is definitely not my reason for speaking to you right now. My reason for speaking to you right now is what I am seeing as real pain and a real threat to families in the aftermath of the presidential election. I was watching the news just last night, and the number one news story was that not just President Trump won the election, but he won it convincingly. The second biggest news story was who he is picking to fill out his cabinet and what he is going to be doing. And the third most common story that I saw in the news last night was about all these family members who aren't speaking to each other. All these family members who are divorcing one another because of a conflict over politics. These family members who are telling people, don't come for Thanksgiving, or I'm not coming for Thanksgiving, or I'm not coming for the holidays because of who you voted for, because you voted for Trump. Trump is opposed to me. Trump is opposed to my rights. Trump is opposed to my reason for existence. And I have to tell you, I was watching this news coverage and my heart just broke. And so I wanted to record this podcast and speak to you if you are the member of a family who is dividing over Trump. And listen to me. I want to appeal to you not to do this. I want to beg you not to do this. You're not going to hear me talk about politics over the next few minutes. I want to let you listen to me speak to you about the great importance of the decision that you are making to separate from your parents, to separate from your kids, to separate from your loved ones over a political vote. Listen, guys, for the rest of our lives, we're going to have disagreements with one another. Part of what it means to be family is we live with and love people with whom we have disagreements, with whom we don't see eye to eye on everything. Listen, I'm not here to argue that political disagreements are unimportant. I'm not here to argue that they are irrelevant. I'm here to argue that there are many, 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 many more things in life and many, 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 many more things in your family besides that. I want to talk for just a moment about a passage of scripture in Ephesians chapter 4. It's written to Christians. It comes in the book after the Apostle Paul has been talking to people and letting them know that Jesus Christ lived a perfect life and died on the cross and rose from the grave so that if they will turn from their sins and trust in him, they will have forgiveness for those sins. And as he unpacks that message, he turns in chapter 4 and he says, let me tell you how to live in light of the fact that Jesus has done this for you. He says, I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. And then he gives us 4 categories that we need to walk in that flow out of our commitment to loving Jesus. And all 4 of these have everything to do with your family conflict over Trump at the holidays. The first thing he says is you need to walk with all humility. With all humility. That means you have a low, humble estimation of yourself and a high servant orientation of other people. Listen, politics is complex. Politics is challenging. And all of us can be wrong about this more than we care to admit. To be very honest with you, I said I wouldn't talk about politics, and I'm really not going to. Here, just a few seconds. There are problems both with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I think everybody could agree to that. And I think what we all need is some humility as we evaluate our own political opinions. We could have a low assessment of ourselves and not just exalt our own opinions above everybody we know, above everybody in our family, above everybody that we might spend Thanksgiving or Christmas with. He tells us to be humble. He tells us to be gentle. Gentle is the way you treat something that is precious, easily broken, and irreplaceable. It's the way you treat your grandmother's china. It's precious. It is easily broken. And once it is gone, there is no more where that came from. Listen, these are our relationships. Our relationships with our moms and dads, with our sons and daughters, with our aunts and uncles. These are the only relationships that we've got. Guys, listen, it might not feel like it a couple of weeks after a presidential election, but the United States of America is going to have another president. The United States of America is going to have another election. The United States of America is going to have another season of political debates. You don't get another mom. You don't get another dad. You don't get to replace that sister or that brother. And so what that means is we got to be very, very gentle. These things are so precious. They are so easily broken. And once they are gone, they are gone. One of the things gentleness means is that you don't escalate this thing. Okay, so right now, you and your parents, you and your kids, you and your family, you have a political disagreement. Don't escalate the political disagreement. You voted for Harris, they voted for Trump. You voted for Trump, they voted for Harris. That is intense enough. Don't escalate it with a threat that because you disagree with me, you are dead to me. If you have already escalated it, if you've already said, I'm not coming, don't escalate it even more by actually not coming. Don't escalate it even more by making good on the threat. Gentleness means we de-escalate. It means I'm not going to threaten you with our relationship because we have a political disagreement. It means when we have a political disagreement, I'm not going to tell you that we can't celebrate the holidays together. Be gentle. Slow this thing down. Calm down. Sleep on this a few nights. Pray about this. Ask some other people for help. So we're supposed to be humble. We're supposed to be gentle. And then we're supposed to be patient. Okay, so patient. Patient is when you are slow and careful in relationships. Listen, here's the way patience works. Ask yourself this question. Let's assume you're right about everything you know and everything you believe. Did you get to be right about that immediately, or did it take you time? Did it take you time to read and think, maybe pray, maybe talk with other people, be influenced? It took you time. So even if you are the correct one in this political debate, you still have to be patient with other people who have been wrong. You still need to be slow. Life doesn't work where everybody arrives where we want them to be, where they need to be, even where they are supposed to be immediately and overnight. Listen, this is your family. And you can be patient with your family. If you're not going to be patient with your family, you're going to wind up not being patient with anybody at all. Your family needs you to be patient. Finally, we are to bear with one another in love. We're supposed to have humility. We're supposed to have gentleness. We're supposed to have patience. And we are supposed to bear with one another in love. You could translate this. You could interpret this as tolerate one another. You could say we put up with one another. Guys, listen, more than we care to admit, that's what families are. Families are the people who put up with one another because you're not perfect and I'm not perfect either. I need to be humble and I need to be patient with you. You need to be humble and you need to be patient with me. Because that's true, we need to be gentle and we need to bear with one another. And we don't do it with gritted teeth. We bear with one another in love. Let me give you a way to think about this. As you prepare for Thanksgiving here in the next couple of weeks, as you prepare for the Christmas season, you need to commit to be with your family. You need to commit to love these people, even though the talking heads on television, even though in a therapeutic culture, they're like, take a break, cut these people off, don't do it. That is not a biblical way to think about family. That does not appreciate the fact that these people are precious. And you get another president, you get another elected official, you won't get another family member in that role. And so you need to bear with these people in love. I was walking across this swing bridge decades ago when I was a little kid. And it was a swingy, unstable bridge. And the bridge was made up along the width of about 5 or 6 planks. And I remember as I was walking across the bridge, I got to a part of the bridge where 1 or 2 of the planks were really loose and rickety and not stable. And so do you know what I did? I didn't put my weight on those planks. I put my weight on the planks on the bridge that were stable and secure. Listen, ideally, we could have profound disagreements and not kill each other, not separate over each other, not divide our families. But listen, bearing with one another in love means if you haven't figured out how to have a complex, controversial conversation in a calm and mature way, then avoid those planks at Thanksgiving. Avoid those planks in your relationship at the holidays, in your conversation that are unsteady and unstable. Put your relational weight talking about your childhood. Put your relational weight talking about how much you love one another. Put your relational weight on those family traditions that have created your memories and formed you as a family. Guys, listen to me. I don't care who you voted for. They are not going to sit by your hospital bed when you get a terminal diagnosis. I don't care who you voted for. They are not going to stand by your grave when your life comes to an end. I don't care who you voted for. They're not going to be the people who can support you when the bottom falls out of your life. We got to keep our priorities in check. We got to realize that family is a precious, precious gift. And so even when we have conflict over significant issues and even over political issues, we need to be humble, we need to be gentle, we need to be patient, and we need to bear with one another in love. And I really, really am praying for you and your family that you'll do that this holiday season.